in my opinion, the greatest thing about Anchor is that you don't need a big budget. You don't need fancy equipment. Anchor gives you all the tools that allow you to record, edit, and produce a top quality podcast right from your phone or your computer. When we started out, we literally recorded to our phone for the first 50 episodes, and we never had a problem with it. We always felt like we got great quality, a great service, and it was easy to understand and easy to use. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all, using Anchor, it is totally free. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Never a Straight Answer podcast, the podcast that aims to cover a wide range of topics from conspiracy theories to popular culture and news. I'm your host Gaz, and joining me in the studio, it's said that he was once attacked by a man-eating tiger, and after 14 days of agonising pain, the tiger eventually died. He's my co-host, he's Mr. Taylor.
Damn right he did.
Just get him in an headlock, son.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you fucking tiger.
Hey, nice and furry though.
Nice and furry. I bet it was warm at night.
Well,
cuddle up.
Not no more. He's nicely on my mantelpiece.
He's the Tiger King.
Yeah, hell yeah.
What happened to him actually?
Still in Nick, isn't he?
Still in Nick?
Yeah. What did President Trump do actually?
Pardon him. Yeah, he did,
one of the
didn't he?
last things, wasn't it? Yeah, but he didn't. Like a good man.
Whatever. Well, hello and welcome back to all you new listeners and repeat offenders.
Keep repeating.
Wherever you are, wherever you're listening, wherever you're tuning in from.
Oh, yeah.
It's good to have you here.
It is.
Yeah, we've got an interesting show coming up. It is a weird one. It's like a mystery. We've not done a mystery for ages.
No, we haven't.
Now, obviously, I love a good mystery.
Yeah.
And this week we're going to be discussing something that we were all taught as kids.
Yes, definitely.
I think this is one of those primal sort of things that your parents do distill into you.
Parents definitely told you this.
Yeah, not just look both ways before crossing the street, but never take candy from strangers. Yeah, a lesson that all parents do instill. Yeah. But have you ever wondered where that phrase comes from?
Yes, I have.
Well, I just take. I've always got any cat. You got some candy, mate? Yeah. All right, give us
just
a one.
Give me a lollipop.
A lollipop. Well, we're going to be investigating it. We're going to take a look at the first recorded incident and the mysterious but heartbreaking disappearance of Charlie Ross.
Yes.
That's coming up later on in the show.
It is indeed.
It's interesting. It's a really kind of like, weird story, but I mean, it's like, we'll go into it later anyway, because I've got personal, I was approached by people offering me sweets, but I was indeed approached by people offering me sweets. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think it was a different time. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, different time.
We'll go into it a bit later on.
Yeah, we will, indeed.
That's coming up shortly in the show, as well as other bits and pieces, including the NASA news. So well worth sticking around for.
Some good quality news today.
Indeed. So it's a question that we ask every week, and this week's no exception. What is it you've been up to this week, Mr. Taylor?
I've just been looking into like UFOs, and
I've been looking into a lot of UFOs this week. Actually, there's been a lot of reports of UFOs, and we'll be going. I've got a lot in the news, so if you're interested in UFOs and what NASA have been getting up to, make sure you tune into towards the end of the news.
Yeah.
But what have you spotted? I mean, don't be. I hope you don't be kind of like ruining my news stories. But what have you seen?
It's just like actual sightings and abductions, and looking at cases, because there is so many cases that there's I like to try and get a case in every now and again to have a look at to see where the closeness of another case I remembered, or I've
see if there's any similarities. You mean, like in terms of what happened then and what's happening now.
Yeah, because the information that I've been growing up with.
Well, I think like over the years, there's different like shapes of UFOs and different sort of variations.
Yeah.
So it's like to see the same ones cropping up over and over, you kind of does give a bit more sort of like.
Yeah, like the TR3B
validation to it. Like in the TR3B, yeah, exactly. I was just about to say, that it's actually something we've developed rather than something that's otherworldly. But if you look at cases that happened in the like 40s and the 50s and the 60s and onwards, it's like when you see things that match up from then to now, then it definitely kind of gives more sort of credence to it. But then obviously it's been a few decades for us. But do you know how fast have these, if they are aliens, how fast have they advanced? And have they made upgrades on their ships from what we've seen prior? And they're turning up in newer, slicker, go faster stripes versions. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it seems like you can turn anything into a UFO, and it seems to fly because there's been
just
so
stick a
many
UFO
different...
engine onto it. Or
well, you
could.
I don't know, like put Lego bricks together and make some kind of weird, like looking object, and it'd still float and move the same way. So that's
crazy. Well, you do see a lot of different objects and stuff in the sky, which suggests that. So
and I was looking at back like in like 1800s and even further back, but like the cases in certain areas as well. Like there are certain areas around the world where it's persisted over time, even places that have closed down, little towns.
Well, there's definitely hotspots and stuff. I think in a couple of my news stories later on, I've got a kind of that in particular, about hotspots and stuff. But
well, what have you been up to lately?
This week, bits and pieces. Just remember, we're available on Red Wall Radio.
We are
on
indeed,
Thursdays from 9 o'clock.
Oh yeah, you don't want to miss.
We're back from after the new year, so make sure you check that out. They've gone back to a 4-day broadcast week as well, so make sure they do play some really good music, so do check them out, as well as having some good shows and talk shows like ourselves.
Definitely.
Watched a couple of series.
All right. I've been getting into Dark Matter.
Is that any good?
Well, it was on that Pluto TV and it's free, so it was like...
It's IMBD TV, isn't it? Which is pretty much the same thing, I suppose. But like, And
it looked like... Yeah, it looks all right. Yeah, it's a bit weird at certain points, but yeah.
Yeah, fair play. I might give that a watch. But I've just started Boba Fett, which is the book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
My days is so good.
Is it?
Yeah. It is. I mean, for the first 2 episodes, I was like, I'm hooked on this already.
Right.
It was better than The Mandalorian, I think.
Was it?
Yeah. And it's Boba Fett, man. It's the Fett. You
can't
get better. It was like
film quality.
I mean, this was film quality. It was literally, he's basically taking over the gang, the crime boss of what is it? Mossad. I always forget the name, but on Tatooine, anyway. Mos Eisley or something like that, right?
Okay.
And he's going to be the gaffer now,
but
the last time, in terms of like, other than the Mandalorian, the last time anyone saw Fett was when he went into the Sarlacc pit and he was
he got eaten,
right. So I mean, not really. I don't feel like I'm spoiling it. It's the first scene in the Boba Fett Book of Fett.
So it shows
how he escapes, and it's pretty good. It's a question that we've all been wondering.
Yeah, because usually through a series, it's usually maybe the next series.
It's totally
or like at the end of it that they show that kind of stuff.
I also watched, right now I'm a big Matt Berry fan. So it was like, Matt Berry's just got the best voice, and he's got the best voice. He's a voiceover. He does a lot of voiceover stuff, right? And if you've ever seen Things We Do in the Shadows, the new series rather than the mockumentary, pretty much most stuff he does is fucking comedy gold, right?
Okay.
So he does a show called Toast of London, where he plays an actor, and he always gets cast for voiceover work, right? So it's pretty funny stuff. And
I'm waiting for it.
Well, they've just brought a new series where he goes to Hollywood, and all the way through it, he's saying, "I'm appearing in the new Star Wars movie," like, and everyone's going, "Sure you are, yeah, right."
Yeah.
Well, I get to the end of the Boba Fett episode, right, and it says special guest star Matt Berry, and I'm like,
Hold on. It's not a movie, it's a series.
It's a series, yeah. But I mean, he all the way through Toast of London, he's saying I'm going to be in the new Star Wars, right?
Okay,
yeah, like,
yeah,
so
yeah.
I mean, movie, series. Like,
yeah, well,
know.
it's like a movie now, isn't it?
So it's just funny because, like, all the way through that, he was like, I'm here in Hollywood to do the Star Wars thing. And
everyone was thinking
and then
he's
a
bollocks.
guest voice, or he's a guest actor on Boba Fett. So I've had to kind of go, well, who did he play? And I kind of had an idea it was this stuffy butler type droid.
Oh, right, okay.
But there's a joke where it's like English people always get cast to play the butler or the murderer.
Yeah. Which is generally the butler
generally
anyway.
the same thing.
In England, anyway.
Exactly. It's always the butler who did it.
Yeah,
so,
of
you
course.
know.
Ask Gavin Christie.
But it's so funny. Yeah, so like I was really impressed that he actually was in Boba Fett. So that was really good. Another thing I watched, I don't want to drag on too much with what I've been watching on the TV, but this was so good, definitely worth recommending it. It's David Tennant's who was probably one of my favourite doctors.
Yeah, it was nice doctor, yeah.
He's just done an adaptation of 80 Days Around the World.
I saw a little bit of that.
It is excellent,
the other
I've
day,
got to say,
actually.
and it reminds me of Doctor Who, because if you're a fan of Doctor Who, there's a storyline where he puts his like personality into a watch.
Yeah.
Right, and he plays this
now,
sort of like stuffy English teacher, like from the like Victorian era.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's almost like watching that character going off to do the 80 days around the world, and he's also got two companions, right?
Okay,
so
yeah.
and every episode he gets to a location around the world and there's a problem he needs to sort out. It is very much like watching a Doctor Who, but with that Phileas Fogg 80 days around the world. But it was very well done, and I do recommend everyone to give it a watch. So
well,
there you go. That's what I've been up to this week.
TV watching. Ooh.
Yeah, but I have done other stuff, to be fair. Yeah. But anyway.
Awesome research.
So, that's what, So, anything else? Because basically, otherwise I'll just shift on with the show.
Yeah, let's shift on.
Well, I'll do this week, but this week's episode's brought to you in part by Audible.
Yes, it is.
Audible is a great way for new customers to try audiobooks and make the most of every moment.
Hell yeah.
With the trial, customers can receive one free audiobook of their choice to keep, even if you cancel. Prime customers will receive 2 audiobooks in their trial. They're able to choose from the world's largest selection of audiobooks, including bestsellers, new releases, sci-fi, romance, mysteries, classics, and more. Even get podcasts on there, including us.
Yeah, you want that.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah.
After 30 days, you will receive 1 book every month, which costs $7.99, and that's your premium, like what you pay on your subscription, and you can cancel at any time.
Sweet ass.
They've got loads of really good personalities who read the books.
Yes,
from
they
Stephen
do,
Fry.
Yeah.
Also, others.
Other actors and actresses.
Other people are available.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good way of kind of like taking advantage of like spare time commuting.
Yeah, well,
road trips.
Yeah.
Working, if you're working away, you can listen to an audiobook, Sang Suzy, Art of
Sitting
War.
in your cell, there's
there's
loads
a lot of
areas.
variety there. So if you want, and that sounds like it's something that would appeal, there'll be a link in the description.
Well, there's got to be some book in there that will appeal to to every single person.
There's a book for
so you might
everyone.
as well take advantage.
They say everybody's got a novel in them, don't they? Everyone's got a great novel in them.
Yeah, or a novelist.
Everybody's capable of writing a good fictional or life story or a novel.
Yeah.
So in that way of thinking, there's a novel for everyone.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? So regardless,
it might even inspire someone to go and actually make a novel.
This is why, remember Black Books?
Yeah,
there was like a story. Well, there's an episode where they were like, "This book's got everything. It's about a spy who's like does this, that, and the other, but it's also got romance, so it's like appeals to both men and women."
Yeah,
it's like. There's always an action thriller there that'll get everyone going or
tongues
something.
waggling. Did you see that?
The Da Vinci Code was like one of those books, wasn't it? That just literally everybody bought.
Yeah, I didn't.
And then 50 Shades of Grey, which every woman bought.
Yeah. Oh, that was just daft. And then as soon as it come out in the movies, it was like, right, raid the place. It's like, it was like I don't know.
It sounds like dodgy to me. Anyway, this week we're going to be talking about a mystery that's, it's never been solved, really, has it? It's gone unsolved for a very long time. It's the story of Charlie Ross. And the reason why we say don't take candy from strangers, don't take sweets off strangers.
Yeah.
I mean,
this was the first
documented very. I mean, I'm sure that it wasn't the first case, but it was the first publicised case in the sense that there was a big hoo-ha, big to-do about trying to find this kid.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, was his parents in a position of kind of influence, or
they had money.
They had money
to
kind
money,
of. Well, because he invested in a lot of money to try and find his son.
Yeah.
I mean, going on a personal level, right? Have you ever took candy from strangers when you were a kid?
Of course I have, and I did what they asked.
My days!
No. I have been offered.
No, we had a guy on our I grew up on this like sort of quite a small avenue.
Yeah.
And there was this chap who like used to walk through the avenue and he would be like called Neville. Yeah. And he'd always have pockets full of bloody sweets like penny chews and like blackjacks and applejacks and fruit salads.
Yeah, they were usually the ones.
And it'd be like, and he'd get this. He kind of got a reputation
of being the sweetie
for the guy who had the sweets. Yeah, right. Yeah. To the point where someone had clocked where he lived and they'd be knocking on his house, going, "Got any sweets?" But I'd never. I mean, obviously, a lot all the kids on the estate.
It's different.
Yeah, no, but you would know all the other kids on the estate, and you would know if there was one of your mates or somebody in the area would have had a dealing with this guy.
Yeah, they would have been
respect.
Yeah, they would have been talking about it.
And especially if the parents sussed. I mean, parents like, where'd you get them sweets from? Oh, I got them from Neville. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, well, who is this guy?
Dirty bastard again.
I don't know if there was any. I never saw it as anything like.
Well, have you heard of any instances, or did your parents hear of any instances?
No, I can't say anything. I was a child, right? So I probably didn't even, register it. Yeah, but that's the problem, isn't it? Yeah, because kids like sweets. Yeah, it's an appealing law, right? And if somebody who is a stranger is kind of approaches your child and says, "I've got like a bag of sweets. Do you want to come and get in my van?" Yeah. Are they likely to do it because they've got a temptation, a law that the kid wants the thing that they've got, basically?
What, you reckon now?
Yeah, anytime. Yeah. I mean, it's a thing that is. I mean, obviously, we still instill these sort of things into kids today.
Yeah.
Don't speak to strangers. Yeah. Don't take sweets from strangers.
Yeah. But you can email them and go on WhatsApp with them and go on...
Play Call of Duty
or
exactly. Xbox Live games or whatever, I mean, but this is the thing,
but then you've got to realise it used to be that kids were let out to learn and let them out on the street to
send them out into the world to learn.
Well, yeah,
it's like if he gets molested, so be it, but at least he'll learn a life lesson.
You'd keep your eye on him, but you'd be chatting to the parents would be chatting in the corner while the kids are off playing in the playground together, and you'd learn the abilities of
totally social skills. Yeah, like, so basically it's like, I think is it a case of the kids don't have as many social skills now and are more susceptible to stuff like this? Do you know what I mean?
I haven't got kids, so I can't really
I haven't.
say.
This is the thing, isn't it? I mean, I would teach my kids the same thing. Don't talk to strangers. Yeah. Don't take sweets from strangers.
Yeah, and always do what I say.
But that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, it's funny to think that, as a child, I would have, or I did.
Well, I got, I got taught it by my mum like quite a number of times. Even today, if I go out to a pub,
you used your own judgment even as a child to kind of assess that situation, or do you think that you were just more bothered about the sweets?
No, that I think parents. Well, so, right in some kids and wrong in others, because some kids are smart and intelligent and know what's what, but then you've got other kids that, like you say, put a sweetie in front of them. They're like, oh yeah, I'm your best mate now.
Right. Well, the kids involved in this particular mystery were Lord. They did kind of take the sweets as a kind of a temptation. And during the summer of 1874...
Yes, that far back.
2 men on horse-drawn buggy... Now, this is how long ago this was.
June
Pulling
1st.
a horse-drawn buggy, basically entered the neighbourhood in Philadelphia and befriended 2 young boys. They were playing in the front of their house, and, for 5 days in a row, they were there, and these guys would approach him and... give him sweets and say, all right, lads,
I'm your mate now, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
sort of befriended him.
Yeah.
The mother was was away. I think she was away with the daughter. There was another daughter as well, right?
Yeah.
So it meant that the father was looking after him, but he had to work as well.
Yeah, the fathers were usually the breadwinners, and the mothers were usually the housekeepers and looking after the kids.
So obviously, he's gone. Used to play outside.
Yeah, as you do,
and make sure you look after each other. Just don't go wandering off and all the rest of it. Sort of advice that you would just give to a child. Playing out.
And there's not that many people as there is now. You know what I mean? It's not as busy as it was back then. Even less so, to be honest.
So. Obviously, it was getting to it was kind of Independence Day coming up, 4th of July. So this was about the beginning of July,
1st of July.
The 1st. Yeah. So the dad had promised them, there was going to be firecrackers at the end, for 4th of July and all the rest of it, celebrations and all the rest. So, but obviously they had to be good.
They did
and do what he said because he's looking after him at the moment and needs. Doesn't want to get an earful off mum if anything happens while she's away, basically, as well.
He don't want to hassle off the kids, he's having hassle at work.
But these 2 men pulled up, but this time they offered to take the boys to buy candy rather than just giving them candy, right? And he also said, I think the kids must have told him about the fireworks, because they were like, oh, we want to go... we're waiting for my dad. I think he's taking us for fireworks or something. Or promised them fireworks at the end of the week.
Yeah.
Now these guys were like, we'll take you to get fireworks, We'll get you them now.
Yeah.
So these kids have jumped in the car. Was it Walter and Charlie?
Yeah.
Right?
Charlie was 4. I haven't actually found out how old Walter was, but he was roughly around the same age. So it'd be about 5 or 6, I should imagine. He'd been the older brother, I could see.
Well, what they did was they ended up taking Walter. Walter went into a shop to buy fireworks. Yeah. And when he came out, the buggy was gone. Yeah. So they'd left Charlie and abandoned... they'd left Walter and abandoned him.
Yeah, side of the road, yeah.
Pretty much the side of the road. And...
they've took Charlie.
Took Charlie. Yeah. So, what was it? Obviously, Walter was old enough to be able to go into a shop to buy fireworks.
Yeah. So
how old was Walter at the time?
See, I'm working out 9 months. I don't believe they were twins. There was no mention that they were twins. So I reckon about between 5 or 6.
Okay, right, okay. So Walter's been left at the side of the road, right? And when... they found him. They said he was terrified, basically. I'm not sure if it was just because he panicked because he was on his own and found himself, lost.
Well, yeah, he'd always been with his brother, wasn't he?
And he's been with his brother, and now he's lost his brother as well. Do you know what I mean?
Well, he got his sweets, though.
Oh, did he? Yeah, well, he got his sweets.
Didn't he? And he got his fireworks.
So, after several days, after Walter's return, the father, Christian Ross, received the first of 23 ransom letters.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
so they were demanding, obviously,
payment.
They paid him $20,000,
which is $400,000 today.
They'd be able to return the child. I don't know why they thought that this kid had this money. Obviously they targeted him.
Well, they must have been watching.
Well, they definitely targeted him because obviously they came back 4 days in a row. And it's it got to the point where they decided one of them's enough. They don't need both of them, and kept Charlie.
Yeah,
So what was it about Charlie that they thought was, or was it just the easiest?
Easiest, youngest to deal with, and also if I was in that position, it's a case of I'd be questioning about the father's work, the mother's work, kind of income, trying to work out, bits about the house without actually going in the house. Here, I'll give you a sweet if you tell me what your dad does. You know what I mean? So then you can calculate.
Well, I think basically they misjudged it, right?
Yeah.
Because even though the Rosses lived in the well-to-do part of town, they actually didn't really have much money because they invested heavily in the stock market, and there was a stock market crash in 1873, and basically couldn't even afford the house. They were literally just towing the line on paying the house, or unless they owned the house and that was all they had left.
I should imagine, because they used to build them back then, didn't they?
It was probably about £500 for a big house back then. But he's basically lost all his money in the stock market crash. So to pay this $20,000, he was like, I honestly don't even have that. But later on, I did find a poster, asking for information. Have you seen this boy?
Oh yeah.
And there was a reward for 20,000. So it makes me think, was that money that was put up as a reward by the state, or was it money that they basically...
I would have thought some volunteer.
Someone had kind of, felt his plight and offered the money as a reward for any information.
Yeah, because it was some kind people back then as well.
So, trying to pay a ransom wasn't really an option. No. I mean, to get 23 ransom notes.
Yeah, that was a lot of money for, that's a high amount for, a child, kidnapping a child on the streets. I mean, they would have been better off turning around and saying £500, because they would have got it then.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's not as much as they wanted, but I mean, it's like something, isn't it? You've learned a lesson that not everything is what it appears, and this guy may live in a nice part of town, but he's not got the money that you were expecting.
Yeah,
is that child's life? Is that child's life fucking worth nothing?
Money.
You know what I mean?
But a parent would do anything.
The police were involved, but they didn't really have any leads. So Mr. Ross basically used his own personal column in the Public Ledger to try and get a bit more kind of information out about it and make more appeals.
Yeah.
So he's basically set up his own investigation, really. The police have got their investigation going, but they've not really got anything to go on. So he's took it on himself, and what money he did have left, he basically spent on trying to find his boy, basically. Right. So, so 2 criminals later on that year, right, were shot in a heist or some sort of basically burglary.
Oh, right, okay.
And it's thought that these 2 guys are the perpetrators, the guys who kind of had kidnapped the lad in the first place, or the boys in the first place.
Yeah.
But obviously, the problem there was, if it was them, then now they're dead. So tracking the boy, if he's still alive,
near impossible.
Or basically, it's pretty much
basically you just
impossible.
Shot your last investigator.
So they were apparently in a burglary in Brooklyn, New York. Mosher was killed instantly, but Douglas lay dying. He confessed to the pair being involved in the Charlie Ross incident.
Yeah.
But obviously told authorities that him and Mosher had been the only 2 people who knew where the boy was being held.
Yeah.
2 hours later, he died. So it was a bit kind of heartbreaking in a lot of ways. But they did suggest that the boy was still alive.
But I don't see. Yeah, but was there any evidence to suggest that he was alive? Because he hadn't been seen. Where they'd have to keep him somewhere. They'd have to keep him somewhere either locked up, possibly with someone else.
If
so
they
there's
think
a
they've got
third
20 grand
person
riding in it, do you know what I mean? They're not going to keep him alive as long as possible. I mean, the police later arrested a 3rd member of the gang, which was Wilbraham Westvert, who was a disgraced Philadelphia police officer.
Ah, so he knew all the rules, regulations, and what could and not
and he
be
was
done.
also the brother-in-law of William Mosher, one of the dead perps. So there was kind of like a lot of evidence to suggest that it was actually them. Especially with them operating in Philadelphia at the time as well. Even though they'd been shot in Brooklyn, New York, there was connections back to Philadelphia and the gang. So, you know,
right.
for Christian Ross, the ordeal didn't end with the death of those two, though.
No.
So
no, loads of claims, loads of false and con men trying to come forward to try and get the inheritance, basically. Which there was going to be hardly anything there left over, to be honest. Probably the house.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of people who were interested in the story as well, do you know what I mean? And wanted to, you know, do books and adaptations or whatever. Yeah. I mean, this was even back then. Yeah. You know, it's a bit, or write articles about it, so it kind of never left him. It always had the stigma of it, and like, you know, it's like, look at, I mean, the modern day equivalent to that, it would be the McCanns, wouldn't it? I mean, if you think about how this has followed them now, for better or worse. I mean, obviously they've had people who have got on board with what they've said and, you know, supported them and financially supported them and donated to the funds and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And then there's people who would be like, you were involved, there's a conspiracy here, there's something going on, you know. And it's like that stigma will follow them, and it's bad enough that they've had to lose a child in a way, for whatever reasons.
Well, it's a mess up of the investigation.
It's the fact that the investigation didn't bring anything back, or if that child is still alive, where the fuck are they, and why wasn't there more investigation to try and find them?
Yeah,
or find where they were operating from, or where was the most likely place that this kid could be,
or likely people to actually do it. And I suppose they would have done it, but they would only do it for so far. It's the same as a search party. You get a search party, you only do it for a certain amount of time, and then that's it.
Do you think that's wise, though? I mean, because, I mean, there's a lot...
No, but don't forget, there was, especially back in them days, they didn't have the abilities what we've got now. I suppose,
and the field of, you know, searching would be smaller because...
more dangerous as well.
More dangerous, because you're not like you're searching streets. It'll be a lot more open landscapes and fucking...
You can hide the fucking sheriff's body.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is it. I think if you're not... Well, I can kind of understand the reasoning behind kind of calling searches off after a certain time, but there's evidence to suggest that
should still have
people could still turn up.
Yeah.
And I mean, in terms of like living in hope, it's...
Well, the father lived in hope. In fact, he wrote a book in 1876. It was published called The Father's Story of Charlie Rose. So it was his indication of actually the process of what he did, how he did it, how the authorities, you know,
behaved, and how they
what
got
was written in these
investigation
letters.
Going. Because you were mentioning some letters that came out, did you not?
Well, in 2013, a librarian stumbled across the first ransom note ever in America, and it looks like that the note actually was for Charlie Rose.
Right, okay. What, like a receipt?
Yeah. Well, no, what had happened was there was, I think, I think these lads might have kidnapped 3 different people in 3 different states, and they've got 3 children, and then they've sent out, you know, notes. Well, one of them was for actually Charlie.
Ah, right, okay. So it was actually one of the ransom
yeah.
notes, because it was, like I say, there was 23 ransom notes received by by his dad.
Yeah.
So, you know, were these notes kind of put in his book at all?
No, I don't think so. I don't believe so. No, because they would have been able to try and find them and work out where they were in the first place. But this librarian just basically just stumbled upon it when she was looking through the paperwork and that, and he was like, "That's mad."
It is a sad story, isn't it? I mean, at the end of the day, little Charlie Ross, I mean, it's one of those things. As a child, you've got a childlike, you know, spirit, and you're like, you know, being lured in such a way with treats and sweets and candy and, you know, fireworks. It's almost like that scene in Pinocchio where, you know, they draw him off to that island where they're, you know, hey, come on, we've got beer and cigars and, you know, all the stuff that you want, like, you know, when it's pretty kind of dark, isn't it, really? I mean, in terms of times. I mean, obviously, I mean, human trafficking, it goes on, and it's gone on for years.
There's never been so many human trafficking than there is today.
Well, we've got some stories coming up in the news.
Yes.
That you know, it's not all doom and gloom. There is some happy endings, and I'm sure you'll want to stick around for that.
Definitely. Well, apparently, this librarian wanted to find out where actually, you know, these letters come from.
Yeah.
And she finally found out a Flynn family. Basically, they moved into a house and they had loads of, you know, like old stuff through family, you know, in the attic kind of stuff that you take out your attic and you put in the other attic.
Old family history. Yeah, basically.
And he looked in a bucket and he looked in there and they actually thought there was romantic
love letters.
Yeah.
And it was Ransom Notes.
Yeah.
Oh my shit. That's pretty kind of bad, that is. Like, what was Nana and Grandad into? I mean, what were they up to?
Kinky.
And was this one of the perps?
Well, it might have been for his family, because why would you have that note unless you either were a friend of the family and, I don't know, you stole it for,
no,
you know,
there's only two people in the story who could possibly have that note, and it'd be A, the people who were involved, or B, the dad, because he's been sent it, the postman.
Yeah, the person in between, because you'd have runners back then, though, won't you? You wouldn't have, like... You'd have a post on horseback.
So you've got to think it might have been a letter that might not have been yet sent. So it could have been... I mean, could this be a fresh lead for the police all these years later? Maybe not.
Well, no.
They'll go, actually, wait a minute. Who was your dad? Who was your granddad? Wait, right, we can actually track this down now.
All involved are gone now.
It's like, actually, do you not think... I mean, this is the problem, isn't it? Because if kids like are taken at such an early age, you know, they're not really developed properly to remember where they live. Or what the fucking parents' last name is, or what town they lived in.
Apparently,
so are they going to grow?
At age of 3.
So they're going to grow up not really knowing any of it. You know, to be honest, it's not really fair, is it?
Yeah, but I suppose in your psyche or in your, your.
Well, again, we'll go into that in a little bit later on. So, anything else to add before?
It was over 5 months. The 23 letters from the kidnappers were sent. Over 600 kids were looked at as
potential targets.
Yeah, as Charlie.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny actually, because the poster that they put out as a missing persons poster.
Yeah.
Obviously this is 1876, so there wasn't really much photography, if any.
No.
Yeah.
You'd have to stand there for a couple of minutes anyway.
There was no photos of Charlie, right? So they used an illustration, and underneath it says, "This isn't Charlie, but it kind of looks a bit like him."
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll post it on Instagram, because I mean, as a reward poster, it's like this, but this picture of Charlie has circulated, and it apparently doesn't look anything like Charlie.
Totally
it looks
different.
Nothing like the guy.
Yeah, he's actually
look like the kid, but
brown hair, glasses.
This is the kid they've
used
as a representation of a child, missing child. It's not this particular child, but a child is missing.
Yeah,
not this one.
Yeah, but one like.
He looks a bit like him, but it's not this one.
Yeah,
and that's what they've
It
gone
might
with.
be that one, but we don't know. It doesn't look like him.
No, the dad said he doesn't
look
much like him, but he'll do.
Yeah, it'd do for now.
So there you go. It is a mystery. It is a sad mystery, but it does cement the advice your mother gave you when you were a child. I kind of felt like we were promoting taking candy from children earlier on, but that is not what we're doing.
No, we're not.
Don't take candy from strangers. And I know people say a stranger's just a friend you've not yet met.
And it still works out as an adult as well.
You know what I mean?
Especially these days.
Don't take any little tablets off anybody in a nightclub. It's the same principle.
Don't take your smoke off anyone you don't know.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Alcohol,
you know what I mean?
don't take stuff that you don't know.
Don't get drinks off people you don't know as well. Do you know what I mean? So it does work out. I think, like, you know, in terms of being a bit
stuff.
dodgy,
well,
it's always a law,
Especially-
isn't there? There's always something that they'll be like, can I offer you this?
Yeah, there's
You
always
really
a dick
want
out
this,
there
don't
who wants
you?
to fucking
And then
offer you something.
and then you wake up in a hotel with no kidney.
Yeah, oh yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, and you don't want that.
And who needs that?
No,
And in
I
this
like my
day and
kidneys.
age.
Yeah, I like my kidneys. Not in a pie. Steak and kidney.
I've not had a steak. Do you know what?
I haven't.
You know what? We used to be.
I'm not really great on the kidney bit anyway, to be honest.
liver and onions was one when we were kids.
dirty
Like
bastard.
liver and onions, and I actually remember liking it. I was like, but then I was like, "What's this?" And my mum would be like, "It's liver," and I'd be like, "Oh right, it's just Well, I think my brother once, in fact, if he does listen at all, but like I doubt it, but he went. For years, he was telling me that he thought like mince was an animal, like, you know.
He thought mince was one kind of animal.
And
part
kind of an animal.
animal.
It's like, you know, when you get minced beef or minced meat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like.
Oh, that's just the back end of it.
Well, it was like,
Oh,
draw
head,
us one.
leg.
What do you think a mince looks like? I want to see.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
like, you know.
Yeah, that'd be funny. Did he do one? Did he draw
He
one?
drew me a mince, yeah.
Did he? What did he look like?
It was kind of half moose, half
Moose.
horse.
Half moose horse. Fucking
It was
hell.
ridiculous. It was.
Does
just,
he know where he come from?
Probably had eagle wings.
Oh,
I don't
my
know.
days. Yeah, it
Fuck
sounds
knows.
like. Oh, I can't remember what that animal.
It's like a minotaur.
Yeah, it's something like that. Yeah,
So
yeah.
anyway,
Head of a lion.
head of a lion,
Well, that's-
strength of a bear.
I brought the head from the lion.
Yeah, he did. He brought the head from the lion
Yeah.
he wrestled
Got it
earlier.
off my shelf.
There you go. Nice segue. Well, that was if you got any comments or anything you'd like to add about any of the topics, if you were affected by any of the topics raised in tonight's episode, do feel free.
Yeah, don't complain to us.
Don't complain.
But
just send us an email. It'll be all right. We'll have fun.
Like with all the kind of information we send out to you, we only give you bits of the information, the juicy bits, obviously, but we'd like you to go out.
The juicy bits.
And if you're interested in that story, actually go out yourself and have a look to see if there's any more information, even pass
If you
information
can find
over.
anything that we've missed or you think we might
be interested in
send it
putting
over.
in, yeah.
Also, we're always looking for guests.
Yeah,
so
we
if
are,
you
yeah.
think that you've got a good story,
Got some
you've had
wicked ones coming up.
we have actually.
Yeah.
But if you think you've got kind of something interesting that something that's happened to you paranormally, or UFO encounters, or
definitely
you're an author that's wrote a book on an interesting topic, get in touch.
Or lifestyles, or
The lifestyles of the rich and famous.
some of this not in the norm, I'd say.
Yeah,
but
maybe a
stuff
bit
in
out
the norm.
there, a bit.
Well, I don't
Wibbly
know.
wobbly.
Would you say UFOs are in the norm now?
Yeah,
I
mate,
would
very mainstream UFOs.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, we're almost like popular. No, I'm only
We're
joking.
almost a UFO.
We're almost a UFO. You come from fucking somewhere. I don't
Well,
know which planet you come from.
Be careful, or I'll destroy you all.
I'll send my species after you.
I've got a nice little rocket. I'll just drop it in the ocean.
All right, calm down. Anyway, moving on with the show.
Go.
We've got some news, and without further ado, it's the news! Oh yeah, it's the NASA news, and like every week, we've scoured the World Wide Web, the broadsheets, and everywhere else to bring you the most out there, craziest,
Or important.
yeah.
Or talking about at the minute, or not talking about.
Current, if you like, on point.
Yeah, definitely
on
point.
fleek.
On
yeah,
fleek
the
point.
most on fleek, on point news that you'll probably
ever see again or hear again.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Well, we found it all.
We have.
And we're ready to share.
We are.
It's been an interesting week since we last jumped on the news.
It always is. Another week.
But
it's
I do have to start the news. I know we had a bit of a bleak topic there about, like fucking people abducting kids and all the rest of it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not good.
But we do start the news with a bit of an upbeat segue from that, yeah. So, in 1989, a 4-year-old boy was abducted in China.
Ooh.
Yeah, right? Like a lot of kids in China at that time. There was a lot of kids being abducted.
Yeah.
Still
is today, mate.
Now, he, ever since he was abducted as a kid, he was 4 years old, and all he could remember was like bits of layout of his little village or the area that he lived in, and he was sketching like drawings of it and like maps of it.
So it was like that Rose boy. He was 4
he
years
was
old,
pretty much exactly the same situation, right?
Sick.
Yeah. Now, after all these years of sketching out this sort of map, he's basically they got a new lead on his origins, right? So since he was a child, Li Jingwei did not know his real name. He didn't know where he came from, where he was born, or even who his parents was, or even certain of how old he was.
Shit, what the fuck was
until he was found his biological family, right?
Whoa.
So last month he was helped with a map that he'd been drawing since he was a child. Right?
Yeah.
So we used to draw it in the dirt when he first got with this new family, because he was basically abducted and sold to a family. Right? But he didn't really have a clue who he was. So he remembers drawing this map in the mud, and when he got to school, he'd start drawing it in notebooks and stuff like that.
Yeah, so it's something always on his mind then.
Yeah, and it was always on his mind. And it kind of got more on his mind because recently there've been a lot of these sort of cases of reuniting these children who'd been trafficked and kidnapped as children, being reunited with their real families. So there was about 4 or 5 cases which were in the news recently, which kind of made him think, you know, this I could kind of potentially find some evidence here. So more than 30 years after his abduction, like the drawing of his village, the landscape, and just kind of little details had actually helped the police locate and track down his biological mother and siblings.
So he's 30, about 34 now then?
Yeah, so like I say, he was inspired by recent reunions, other headlines that had been kind of going around China. Now, could it be Chinese propaganda? Like, hey, everything's cool, we're all finding each other, or could it be genuine? I mean, 100% don't know really, but there was one son who was reunited with his son, and one guy who was reunited with his son after 24 years of searching for him. Nice. In 2020, parents were looking for their son who was abducted as a toddler, and they were reunited with him after 32 years. And in 2018, another family were reunited with their long-lost daughter after 24 years of searching.
And imagine how long them parents have been like suffering.
So,
and then
exactly, and then to have all that relief to find them again. That's it. That's what I mean. Reports of child abduction occur regularly in China, although often why they happen, it's unclear. But
why the police ain't stopping it, or why the government ain't stopping it, is the real question.
But obviously, after all these reports, Lee decided to speak with his adoptive parents for clues, and then concluded from a DNA database where his actually origins were village-wise, right, or basically area or province, right, because he was taken out of his province,
there,
right. So once they established which province he was in, looking at the map that he drew, they were able to pinpoint the village, and then the DNA pinpointed him to his biological parents.
That's mad.
So it does go to show. And I'm sure they lured him out with sweets. At some point. But, it goes to show that there sometimes are happy endings, and it's not all about doom and gloom, is it?
It is.
Well, so I wanted to start the news on that one.
We don't really hear enough of the good stories, more of the bad stories, because it's more of an urgency on trying to find them. And it's good to listen and hear
a happy ending occasionally, isn't it?
Oh,
but, anything you've seen in the news this week that sparked your imagination?
It didn't spark my imagination. It sparked my
curiosity.
Anger.
His ferociousness.
Yeah, which is sort of in the same, near enough the same ballpark on what you've been talking about. And it was basically Ghislaine Maxwell's trial. Maybe
she got found guilty, didn't she?
Yeah, but it may be a mistrial.
No.
Yes.
Yeah, didn't somebody disagree with it? A brother disagreed with the something or other as
Yeah,
well.
but that don't matter. Basically, the FBI are investigating one of the jurors. And
right.
this
What
is-
have they done? Like they were.
So I don't know if they've been persuaded in a way or had money put in their bank account, because everyone knows about her. You know what I mean? It's not a case of like, let's just grab a person out the street that's never heard of this woman. If they grab me, I'd say I've never heard of her. Yeah, and I'd still go there and go, yeah, guilty.
Yeah,
guilty.
yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
because you can't have a biased jury, can
No.
you? I mean, they've got to be kind of open
Yeah,
to the
you've got to
facts
have
and what's going on.
You've got to know nothing about it. You've got to know nothing about the case, and you're sitting down and freshly being told this fresh information, so you can calculate in your mind, and if you believe the story that the defendant is doing or not. That's your 12 peers. That So hopefully it's not going to be a mistrial, because she's looking at 65 years. But
65 years.
The way things are going on with
That's
political
if she makes
stuff,
it a week.
Yeah, with the political angles and that, I think they might either put it as a mistrial, or when fucking Biden goes, he's going to let her go.
Is he heck?
Well,
They'll be
I'm
like-
hoping not, but they some of the president at
Look,
the end
if Trump wouldn't
gets that
let
chance.
Tiger King out, I doubt he's going to let Maxwell out.
Hey, they're
or-
all friends, aren't they? You know what I mean?
I'm not sure
You know
about
what I mean?
that.
They're all friends. She hangs around with the rich circle. She's got blackmail on every fucker that she must still have some information. Even though the FBI lost the fucking information.
Yeah, but this is the thing,
She's
isn't
gonna
it?
have some more
These are deals that she'll be probably putting towards and going, I'll give you so and so, or
you knock this
if you
one.
knock my sentence down, or whatever.
Apparently, none of that is going to happen. Apparently, it's been said that
She'll just
they're
get
not
let
going to
out.
offer.
Yeah,
her-
I'll be all right.
They're not going to offer her anything. If she opens her mouth, she's opening her mouth for
Just to offer her own back. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't think. I think in the background it'd be like, yeah, we'll give you 20 years, and when everyone's settled down, or even 10 years, and then when we're settled down, we'll sneak you out. You know what I mean? And then you fuck off out of the country.
We'll give you a facelift and
yeah,
send you on your way.
Yeah.
Give you new fingerprints.
Yeah, that's it. You know what I mean? I mean, it's easy to get ID. That's why you have to get so much information to accompany.
You call
that.
Natasha Kenko now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the third.
Yeah, we'll still give you an honour and a knighthood and all that shit.
Yeah, of course.
Have you seen this? Yeah, I mean, like, we were talking about it last week about, the Australia and how they're kind of being weird at the moment.
Oh yeah, beef with Aussie.
Beef, man. It's
Yeah.
not got beef. I mean, I've always loved Australia. Australia sounds like a pretty cool place to be.
Oh yeah, the people.
Do you know
are
what I mean?
great.
Lovely people.
Well, the government at the minute are
I mean,
arseholes.
they're being very kind of strict, and there was like one of the
Totally.
MPs he was kicking off, basically saying that he doesn't care about your vaccine status.
Yeah.
If you attend any of these protests or anything,
Yeah.
you're
fucked.
going to get seen as an anti-vaxxer, and you're breaking the law and all the rest of it. I mean, at the moment, there's a load of controversy about, the Australian Tennis Open.
yeah.
I mean, I'm going to pronounce his name totally wrong, but what's he called? There's two of them now.
Yes.
So what is he called? Dovzhenkov or Devenkov or something.
Yeah. it's
Novak.
like Novak.
Yeah. So Novak's been in they've got kind of a couple of hotels, but they've also got a couple of camps, haven't they?
Yeah, and he won it
Yeah.
last year, so he's coming back to defend his title.
He's already getting penalised.
He ain't gonna defend shit, mate. No.
Well, he's basically been put in this hotel, which has had reports of having maggots in the food. Right?
Has it?
Yeah,
Oh,
the windows
shit.
are locked shut. You can't get any ventilation.
Oh,
yeah.
what?
So they're in these hotels.
Quarantine.
Now he's quarantined.
Yeah.
So he's only there. I mean, he's only being quarantined because he's not got a proper vaccination certificate or
Yeah.
anything.
But he has been
he's-
going on about
He got
it
a
and-
visa exemption,
Right.
but what the Australian Border Force are saying is, well, that's issued by the
Border Force.
by the embassies.
Oh, yeah,
right, which it's got nothing to do with the border force. If they don't believe that's right,
or the information's
the
wrong,
amount of times I've watched Australian border force, the TV program, and even people with visas, they've just gone, "Now, mate," and fucking sent them packing. And I've got to say, the Australian border patrol or force is probably one of the strictest in the world, and always has been. Because they're very protective about their ecosystem. And
we should have a force like theirs. If we had a force like theirs, fuck me.
So for years and years, they've been this sort of protection about who comes in the country and for what reasons.
It's only right for a
and they will deport you straight away out the airport if they think your visa's not right.
Government's first duty.
So I can kind of get where they're going with it, but it's still, it's like
it's martial law.
There's a lot of people kind of, calling for the free release of,
everyone who hasn't
Novak. And there was a report. I think she was an MP in Australia. She said he's free to leave any time he likes, but just not at the minute. And it's like, wait, well, he's not. Then is it?
You've kidnapped me. You won't let me go. Yeah, you can leave.
The other tennis player was a Czech tennis player called Renata
Vorakova,
and now she's been detained in the same facility.
Yeah.
So I mean,
it's
again, if you're living out in Australia and you're witnessing this, is it been blown out of proportion to what we're seeing in the media over here?
Yeah, please report
please
to us.
Let us know.
Yeah,
we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah.
Even if you've had any stories or any kind of
it's weird
because I mean, obviously people don't want to get in trouble.
No.
Yeah, because obviously we reported last week about the young lady who was pregnant young lady who was arrested for incitement just for liking or sharing a post on Twitter or Facebook. I mean, are people prepared to go on podcasts and talk about this sort of stuff with without fear of being, potentially we could be.
We could have been blocked from
if you're Australian, let us know if you're getting our episodes, and if we don't hear anything, we'll assume not.
Yeah, especially our last episode, because that's the one that
we did tell the
it didn't get in as far, and it just
tell it off a bit. The system. Anyway, vaccine police. The leader of the vaccine police, he's basically an anti-vaxxer. He's basically been travelling the country with a flamethrower.
Oh.
He said he was going to kind of
illegal,
take on governors and stuff. Yeah, the guy's mental. I mean, there's been a lot of this weird shit going on, because there wasn't there a guy who tried to assassinate the Queen on New Year's Day or Christmas morning?
Yeah, and actually, funny enough, when the Senate got raided, in America, do you know at the same time, a group of FBI agents were just about to kidnap a senator?
Yes, see, these guys were all about trying to take justice on governors.
Yeah.
So, he's gone out with a flamethrower. I mean, he's been jailed now for obviously carrying a lethal weapon, but also for trespass. So, was he trespassing on government land, or a governor's fucking mansion, trying to kidnap a governor? I've no idea, but I mean, obviously, this guy, he's going round I mean, there's a difference between having an opinion and then going, right, I'm going to set up a crack commando squad who are going to go out and kidnap people I don't agree with. Is that crossing a line? I don't know.
I mean,
think so.
I mean, if we, we were
with a
talking,
flamethrower. Is that excessive?
That's only to a certain degree.
We were I only brought the flamethrower because my bazooka wasn't ready. I needed a clean.
It's kind of like,
wasn't oiled.
It makes me kind of think of Rome. Basically, you build it up. You build this society. Let's say America. You build it all up, and then the people aren't happy. The governments ain't changing shit. The people are getting even worse. I mean, look what's happening in Kazakhstan, is it? Yeah, that's because the gas and the rich who keep getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. They've had enough. They've talked about it. They've been on the streets about it. How far does it have to go to actually get something done? And I'm sorry to say, it's looking like violence. It's never the good idea. But if no one's listening, how far can you go?
Incitement.
Incitement. Well, I'm not inciting, but I'm saying that
I'm only joking. Trump.
It is a different. Different time for talking.
I know what you're saying. Well, I know what you're saying. It's
him.
like, everyone says, right to protest, you've got a right to protest and all the rest of it, but if protesting's not working...
And it's coming illegal...
It's falling on deaf ears.
Yeah. Then what can you do?
It's like, well...
You're not going to sit back,
I can see why people get frustrated, and that's all I'm saying. I mean, I can't say much more on that. On Tuesday afternoon, the anti-vaxxer vaccine police leader, Christopher Paul Kay, was arrested and booked into Jefferson County Jail in Alabama. Alabama. Hey,
and that we even set up.
That was just like, natural.
Natural.
So come on, any news? News? I've got some blinding weird news coming up. Go on.
Say bye-bye to BlackBerry. They've turned off, they've switched off. They're no longer a company.
It's like no one's bought a BlackBerry since 2005.
I like my BlackBerry.
It's like, wait, BlackBerry.
It was the iPhone that knocked them out.
When was the last instant BlackBerry message sent? About 3 years ago or something, and they'd be like, no one's even used the service, man. The last one is fucking out of date. Let's get rid, switch it off.
No doubt there is definitely people out there who...
I thought BlackBerry were going into the sort of smartphone market.
Well, they didn't. Obviously, it didn't work out. So
we didn't sell any of them either.
And it was because of iPhone that knocked them off the market.
It's funny that, actually, because they were kind of the precursor to WhatsApp. A free messaging service which was encrypted. It was a good phone. It was like, I understand why it was the popularity of it, but I looked at them and I thought, what the fuck is that keyboard about? It looked like a little calculator or something.
I've still got all my phones. That'd be the only one I won't be able to switch on and use.
I do actually have a BlackBerry, but I didn't ever use it.
Yeah, I was using it all the time. I've even got Beeper. Still got Beeper,
pager.
Man. Yeah,
page me.
Yeah, that was fucking nice. That wasn't
you got my number. Page me.
And a very interesting story that come up this week about a robot. A robot who was being tested.
Arigato, Dr. Roboto.
This robot.
I know which story you're talking about, and this is absolutely freaky.
Engineering Arts.
Skynet.
This is
like we're one step closer to the edge.
Ameca, they call her.
Yes.
AMECA. And basically they were doing testing. It is the best example of a robot being humanized. He's looking like a human. So he's got face expressions and stuff like that. So they were doing some tests with it, and they were moving a finger from left to right to see its eyes and stuff like that. Then they put the finger towards
it's weird
the nose.
to watch it though, because when you're doing the cognitive tests, like moving your finger left to right and its eyes are following it, and then you go. Now, when you said it to me, because I'd not seen the video at that moment yet, but Taylor was telling me about it, and I went, so did it kind of like when you put your hand towards its face, did it kind of flinch backwards? And he was like, yeah. But it's programmed to do that. Yeah, as right. I believe. But so then, carry on with it, because it is weird.
So then, as he's pushed the finger into the nose, it's changed his expression to angry. Brought his arm up and moved the guy's
it basically
arm away.
Forced his arm out of the way, didn't it?
And then within milliseconds, changed its face expression back to how it was.
But
and it wasn't programmed to do anything to do that.
Yeah, if it's using some sort of AI, is it drawing from like Alexa that kind of is able to kind of draw off web results to determine its behavior? So if it's seeing all these articles about staying personal space and staying 1.5 meters, is it kind of making no, you get away from me, or is it actually defending its own personal space because it's felt it needs its own personal space?
Well, yeah, but it shouldn't have that ability. I actually had this. But
I had this theory about these, Alexas and also stuff like this.
So many times, even when they first built the internet, there was a program that was it was doing stuff on its own. It wasn't programmed to do. and they left it in the system. They knew it might be a little bit of a worry.
Well, they did it recently, didn't they? They put 2 quantum computers on, and they started communicating in a different language.
Yeah.
And it was like, well,
Facebook.
That's who it was.
Yeah.
They ended up having to switch those off.
Yeah.
I mean, what was the case with this robot? They had to switch this one off because, I mean, if it started to do stuff off its own back,
exactly.
then that's
then
one step too far, isn't it? We need to kind of rein that in.
They'll have to have a look at the program, I should imagine.
It's almost like I had this theory about when you see kind of paranormal investigations and stuff. You've got paranormal kind of entities that they say maybe were operating on like an electromagnetic field wavelength or whatever. Potentially. Well, this is why they're able to, interact with lights, electronic items, EVPs, and spirit balls, and all these types of things, because they're able to manipulate electronic fields, right? So, is an Alexa or is an Android the perfect vessel for a spirit to inhabit in terms of a possession? Because
Alexa has done a weird shit like that.
Alexa has done weird shit, and she carries on doing weird shit, to be honest. But is it a case of that now? In terms of possessions, right? Yeah. If a spirit's trying to possess you, it's got a conflicting essence there. It's your personality versus theirs, and there's a battle between your two souls, if you believe in that sort of thing, for dominance, right? Yeah. Whereas a body like Ultron or whatever, or the Vision, where you're building a body with no consciousness and you're able to possess that with no battle. It's the perfect vessel, really, for that. You know what I mean? Are we seeing more kind of like, is it AI or is it something else?
I would say, has it happened before? Because it's not the first time we've built robots.
That's what I'm saying. We've built robots that have actually kind of
since the 50s,
not come alive. But,
But could there have been something within them programs that actually made them shut down, to be honest?
I found this other robot story. I've got 2 robot stories here, actually, because there's an Australian businessman, who has put a lot of money into robotics and stuff, and he's had a female robot made, and he's going to marry her.
What the fuck?
He wants to marry his robot lady.
That's like man wanted to marry a horse.
He's from Queensland, and he basically has done a lot of stuff in his life, as well as build and marry a female robot.
Is he doing
planning to marry her.
Is he? But is he doing it because he's a nut job, or is he doing it because it's good advertising?
Well, apparently his mother died 10 years ago, and he's been very lonely ever since. So the Queensland Jeff Gallagher, wanted to find a companion. He first built a robot dog.
He's got money.
He bought a robot
and
dog.
He's got no companion.
And now he's got the model of a robot lady, which is pretty much like synthetic. Silicon and all that.
You know what I'm going to ask now, don't you?
Well, I know what you're going to ask, but I have no idea, and that's between Jeff. Jeff and his robot love.
Yeah, he's programming.
I mean, you've seen all the... I mean, I've seen a documentary where people were marrying, like, inanimate objects, like bridges and stuff like that. You know?
It's kind of... I can sort of see it in certain aspects of, like you said, like loneliness, but...
A robot dog's one thing, but I mean,
the psychological within it.
It's like you come in to bed, love, bring the WD.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I don't want to put any dispersion out there and say like it's like proper weird, but because I'm not in that.
Whatever floats your boat. Whatever floats your boat.
At the end of the day,
if
you're happy with it, fuck it.
Well, I found this other video because apparently goldfish. Are really good drivers, and this is really cool because a robotics company has developed a system where a goldfish, controls a maneuverable sort of vehicle.
Yeah, it's like a desk.
And not only that, I mean, do you know, goldfish, they have been kind of tested for this trait that they say they've only got a 3-second memory.
In it.
Well, no, because it's total bullshit. It's a total fallacy.
Same with elephants as well.
And elephants never forget, apparently, but I bet they do occasionally. But the goldfish have proven them wrong anyway. And this is further evidence because, same way a mouse can remember a maze or find where its feeding spot is.
Yeah.
Right. So generally, if you kind of mark a maze out inside the fish tank, the fish will get to the feeding spot because it remembers where the feeding spot is. So if it has to go through the maze to get there, then it'll remember that course, right?
Yeah.
Now they've scaled that up, put the fish in a vehicle, in a tank of water, and whichever direction the fish swims in the tank, the buggy drives.
That's
right.
So
it's able to maneuver and find the feeding spot, which it could be the other side of the room.
Yeah, and you could have it as a hoover. Shove a clean underneath
stick a dustpan and brush underneath
and it'll clean your room for you.
Do a good job, actually.
Might be shit in the corners, but, it'll do the main job.
As long as you put some treats in the corners, I thought that was pretty,
that's it. I mean,
pretty interesting.
If you think about it, if you're going to do that, you want to decorate the room to inspire it to go to one corner to another. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what they do. They actually
kind of
put, red markers in the corner to suggest that that's their feeding area. So they're trained in that respect to say, well, we know the red bit is where the food is, so they kind of have a red area in the corner of the room or wherever the treat's going to come from.
Well, what about shoving 2 goldfish in there and say,
fight?
Fight. Which way are you going? I'm going this way. Yeah, I'm going that way.
Well,
or 2 of them in a tank and see how they connect. Will they go to each other? Will they stay near each other, or will they back away?
Do you know what
that? Or throw a cat in there. I'd throw a cat in there and see where it runs.
French sort of love scene, like in Lady and the Tramp, where they just these 2 goldfish driving vehicles reunite,
bumping into each other while water's falling all over the place.
Oh, bless! There's an advert in there. We want rights. Don't stiff us for the payment.
And then
please.
One goldfish jumps into the other, and they go off into the sunset.
Bless.
Yeah.
Yeah, that and other ideas available from Gaz and Taylor Incorporated.
Yeah,
you can hire us, copyrighted, and all that jazz. The Bogdanovs.
Oh yes.
Have you ever heard of the Bogdanovs? Not many people have heard of them.
I've seen them as well. Fuck.
Is it? Mate, Igor and fucking Grinka, whatever they call.
Oh yeah.
Gritchy Garanka.
Yeah.
I can't even say his name. It's fucking
not worth it, mate.
French.
Yeah.
Right. Well, the Bogdanov twins.
Yep.
They're linked to quite a lot of conspiracies.
Oh yes.
But
very big in Vegas as well, apparently.
Well, they're basically science-loving TV celebrities. They did a lot of stuff about quantum physics, but there was a lot of stuff that they reckon that they were pushing different viewpoints and ideas that weren't really real. Or we weren't up to the challenge for it. We couldn't really do anything, but they were pushing it. Did a lot of TVs shows with X in the title.
Oh, right, okay.
And they were big, man. They were big, and they were good-looking lads when they started out, so they had a bit of a following.
I gotta admit, I've never seen pictures of them before.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah,
You've never.
I've seen
because
after,
if you look at them, you generally think, wow.
Yeah.
Are you a puppet?
Why didn't you stop? Why didn't you stop it?
They claim never to have had plastic surgery, but if you look at the faces, if you Google the Bogdanovs, you will go, wow.
Yeah.
Anyway, my story tonight is that the Bogdanov twins have both died.
No.
Yeah, I mean, they've been linked with a lot of conspiracy theories over the years.
That they are.
They're from an elite family as well, with links to Rothschilds and stuff like that. Even more influential, so they say, than the French royal family.
Yes.
And, the Bogdanovs have been kind of in the, not really known about, but known about in some ways.
Yeah,
do you
in
know
certain
what I mean?
circles, in the rich circles.
I think one of them contracted COVID. They're getting on a bit, we're age 72, and I think just one of them's a bit older than that. I think age 74, I think, or something like that.
All that plastic surgery.
His brother died days later of COVID.
Of
as
COVID,
well.
the same COVID.
Yeah.
What was it? The new one, or is it the Oricon, whatever it's fucking called?
Omicron Persei.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I don't know, to be honest. They just never really specify, do they?
It might be actual natural causes then, and they just put it.
A lot more conspiracy theories are coming out now as well.
Right.
Whether they're actually are they just chilling with Tupac and Biggie, Like,
on the
if
island.
they're going to go and get all that plastic surgery, a bit more to change their appearance and just disappear.
Yeah, they could walk past you and you wouldn't even recognise them
Exactly.
tomorrow.
I mean, are they kind of
Are they going that extra mile that like a lot of people haven't got the power to do? Disguise myself.
Get out of there.
Or could they be going the first two to go into machines?
Into the stasis machines? Or get blasted off by Elon?
To actually, these replicates that they're trying to make for, the elite. Because they want to live forever. So you plug yourself into a machine. I remember doing a report on
well,
it.
I'd like to say
Las
they're
Vegas.
into all that crazy shit.
Yeah.
I mean, the TV shows Tempest X, Time X, and these go back to the 70s.
Jeez.
They had a lot of like science-based TV programs, but they were promoting physics and shit like that. So maybe it ties in that, to be honest. But I mean, obviously, if they're very elusive. Right, the Bogdanovs, and it's weird because like not a lot of people know about them. But it's like you look at them, they look like spitting image characters.
That could be an episode. That actually.
Sorry, I mean, obviously, I feel like they have died and they should show a bit more respect.
Yeah, but did you know?
But I didn't really.
Were they important still?
I didn't know.
Well, then nothing.
Never mind. Right. Anyway, I've got a food-related story.
Oh, go for food.
Yeah. Well, North Korea.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, do you know the what's the leader called? King Jong Un. Yeah. What's his dad called?
In it.
King Jong Un. Whatever his name.
Yeah.
He's got bold claims now. He's got claims coming out.
Yeah.
That suggest that he invented the burrito.
Did he?
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Totally. Yeah. That he's saying that he invented the burrito, not Mexico, nowhere. You know what I mean?
No. So it wasn't Mexico.
It wasn't anywhere. No. Yeah, apart from North Korea.
So North Korea, they've always ate burritos.
Yeah. He only for 11 years. He invented them 11 years ago.
they were made 11 years ago. Oh right, I never knew that.
Yeah, but he invented them. That's his newest claim.
Yeah.
Other claims that he've made. Were that he got 11 holes in one on his first round of golf.
Please.
Yeah, with 38 under par.
Was he playing Trump?
Probably. So but I mean, basically they said that the story is all this propaganda's coming out, like, and I don't know if it's because there's a food shortage, but this is why they say that it was invented in the first place.
Yeah.
But these propaganda videos out, like, with people enjoying a burrito. Yeah. But the burrito they make, it's more like a kebab. It's got kebab meat and cabbage and carrot.
It's a burrito with not the burrito
none of the
filling.
good stuff in it.
It's just got
it's just a
whatever
wrap.
they've got.
Like,
it's probably a rat thrown in there.
Probably. Well, if it's finger,
bastards.
It's but on the flip side, if you want a proper burrito, right, Taco Bell are selling a 10-month taco subscription.
A subscription
box.
You're going to be subscribing for fucking everything soon.
I know, that's what I was thinking. That it's like, you want a McDonald's subscription, we will send you a Big Mac every week on a set day.
Because then they know the money's coming in.
Guaranteedly sold a Big Mac there.
At least
$10 a month gets you a Taco Bell customer subscription.
$10 a month?
And that's, one taco per day for 30 consecutive days.
Really?
Yeah. So, like,
how the fuck are they doing that?
It's going to be a national program called Taco Lovers Pass. It's available to purchase the beginning on Thursday, and members will get rewards in a reward program and have a downloadable Taco Bell app.
Well, I can't understand.
So $10 gets you a taco a day for 30 days.
Does that even if there's 29 days?
That's bold. That is actually bold.
Yeah, and where
I like tacos.
Where are they getting the money?
But are you going to go in for just one taco?
Yeah, but if that's let's say $2 for a taco, and it's two every day, they're losing money. They're losing shitloads more money than they should be gaining.
Depends how many people subscribe, innit? Maybe.
Yeah, there must be a trap later on where they go, right, got you.
No tacos hard. For you.
This is the first prescription that you can't get out of.
They must make a lot of money and be
but
able
that's giving money away.
Well, they're feeding the nation on a tenner a month.
For now, so I'd get it now because it will change.
Tenner a month for 30 tacos. That's like, I mean, even if that's all you had to eat, that's summit.
Yeah, oh yeah,
You know what I mean?
That's it.
I'd go for that.
I'd tell you
Sounds
what,
good, actually.
people on the streets, bang, you got at
People on
least
the
one
streets,
meal a day. Yeah.
Tacatino,
That's an idea, actually. If someone's rich out there and you got loads of money, go and do taco and try and get some people for a tenner. Try and get
sign
the
up
people
some
who
homeless
need,
people for some
who
taco
need
action.
Taco,
Yeah.
bang. Even actually,
Oh
food
yeah, I'll
banks,
give him a little card there. Go, that gets you a taco a day,
You know-
every day this month.
Food banks should do that.
Fill your boots.
That would help food banks a lot.
What,
I'd imagine
if they did
a
like,
taco a day.
I was watching this thing about
would it be healthy?
Blackpool, right? Blackpool in the UK
Yeah.
is one of the in fact probably
It's like
the
at Vegas, isn't it?
What is it? Well,
Yeah,
like basically, it's where all the arcades are, basically,
Yeah,
all the
yeah.
amusements. But like,
pumps in
Blackpool
the back.
is the has one of the highest dependencies on universal credit.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of food banks that have sprung up.
There is.
And there was one I'll have to find the name of it, but there was really good, like heartfelt story. It was a pizzeria owner.
Okay.
Yeah, who was basically he'd set up. It was at first it was for homeless, but
right.
it's ended up becoming a bigger food bank, and also,
I've seen,
he basically gives out to the homeless, but he also has become a food bank, like I say.
Yeah.
But because he owns a pizzeria as well,
Yeah.
he's ended up he gives them pizzas, like he'll cook up pizzas. He's got a lot of guys in the back doing voluntary, just cooking pizzas.
Yeah.
So it's
So
not
they learn
only
the
just
skill.
giving them like tins and stuff that you need.
Yeah, just throwing a pan and heat.
Yeah, but exactly. But some
Microwave
people,
food.
these elderly people who might not have trouble opening a tin.
Yeah.
Or cooking for themselves.
Yeah, in this
Whereas
day and age.
this guy makes them hot meal as well as.
and that's
I
what
mean,
you
I think
need.
he started off as a soup kitchen, but now he's like, it's like he'll do them a pizza as well as send them a bit of groceries around as well.
Yeah,
and I thought it was really nice. I need to find out what the name of it is, but big props to them anyway.
Reminds me of Airy Bikers going in somewhere. I think it was like Bradford. Oh no, Newcastle. A place in Newcastle where a guy actually opens his shop, trains people in the back, and sells the food up front, and they all get food and stuff like that. And it's like he's very well done. He's done it for a number of years, and it's working. It's just a pity that that people are getting to that point where they need them kind of places. I mean, when food banks first come up in this country, shocked about it. What do you mean, food banks? We shouldn't have food banks. We're a wealthy country, like fifth richest country in the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We shouldn't need all that kind of stuff. But it hasn't gotten better since then, and it's not just because of the COVID, but it's gotten worse since then because of.
Of course it
everything
has. Yeah, well, because
happening around
there's
it.
a lot of people who ended up, taking 80% from, losing 20% when they were furloughed,
Yeah.
and then coming off that into losing their jobs.
Yeah.
So
I mean, a lot of people work
they've
now.
gone from being in a decent position to 80% of the wages to universal credit to
get your ass on the street.
or try and find something else. And they say that there's a record number of jobs available, but it's only what you're willing to do. Or it's like these professionals who they've got no experience in a lot of things, and they're trying to turn their hands to other careers and new skills and stuff, which is cool. But
Which the government should use that as a program.
People shouldn't be looking at the employment and what's available in the sense that what's not going to be affected by the COVID. People should still be able to do or have careers open to them that aren't just
too many doors are
just
shut now and you get the
supermarket,
shit.
warehouse,
exactly.
or those types of jobs, which you've got nothing against. I've done
it
myself,
needs doing,
but
it's a young man's game.
But it's like if that's all that is available because they're what's thriving, like your Amazons, then they're the only jobs that are available, and they might have loads of them because of the demand. But
in a way, that's our fault as a population.
Well, that's
for
just
using
giving
that
more sway to your big
power
tech.
to them,
And this is what I was talking about, and we might do an episode on it, but in detriment. And how, Amazon, I mean, I'm not saying that this is what they do, but they are in a prime situation to be able to have something like that in place. Where, if as a citizen you owe a bill or debt or whatever, then instead of writing it off and saying, oh, well, you know, the term you can't get blood out of a stone is, well, actually you can, because if you owe us money, the government have give us permission to say, well, you're coming with us and you can work your debt off. Yeah. But unfortunately, food and rent, accommodation doesn't cost. No. That comes out of your salary.
So you're gonna be stuck in a circle.
Yeah. And in terms of like
they're very
these
good at
big
that,
tech companies, are they setting up for a shift like that where they've got?
Where they're basically getting slavery.
They can get workers to come on you're paying a debt off to us capacity. It's one of those, isn't it?
It might end up in one of them directions. Hopefully not, but the way things are going, we're losing.
If we're in in a situation where it is like a dictatorship, where you've got governments are able to overturn judgments from judges, and they give our money to big firms
don't forget,
and contracts,
our money.
Then we are heading in that direction.
Yeah, we give far too much power away and we don't realise it.
Ran over.
Yeah.
I've seen this bit of news. The Pope.
Oh, Pope. He
says opt in for pets over children. So if you have a pet and you think, I just want a pet, I don't want a kid. Opting for pets over children is selfish and takes away from humanity, says Pope Francis.
Well, hold on.
The evil emperor. What?
Yeah, he isn't checking out the problem of, what
we
have
mind.
already.
All animals are God's creatures, apparently, Mr. Pope Francis. Yeah. So am I not taking care of one of God's creatures in that respect?
Exactly, by not taking over their territory.
Numpty.
Yeah.
Because we've already took their territory.
Yeah.
And if we ain't going to look after them, hug a goat.
Yeah. Go and hug a goat.
High five a sheep.
Yeah, go and fuck a pig. Prime Minister.
Prime Ministers. They're just... Or to at least dangle your dick in one.
Well, he probably has. Well, talking of Prime Ministers...
Come on, Boris.
Yeah, it's Boris. Well, the Prime Minister promised back in 2006, as a part of his Brexit relief campaign, that Britain could have the EU's VAT on energy bill lifted. Now, 20 MPs, Conservative MPs, had gone and asked him to remove this, and he has stated no. He's also
he's an absolute coward, mate. He keeps lying in questions with the and then fucking trying to run away.
Yeah. Since October this year,
keeps saying he didn't say that, and then they'll just get a video up of him saying it.
Yeah.
So it's like, why lie?
Totally. 15 million people in this country have paid an extra 11% since October. And like he seems to,
I think we need more ominous music for this for Boris.
Now the
fuel prices.
Number 11.
He's flat. Yeah, because I actually brought this up a couple of weeks ago, and it was like, yeah, we brought this up a couple of weeks ago, and now all of a sudden it's in the news, and I'm like, well, yeah, because he was sending WhatsApp messages to this lord, and it was like, well, the Lord was setting up a trust fund in his for some other thing, other project, but maybe it was the decoration, but he never ended up setting it up. He ended up paying it out of his own money. Yeah, but
it's the principle.
But he got some fucking high fashion designer or something, like some interior designer. No, 17.5 grand was what was added on extra.
Why?
So basically they'd agreed a price for the whole flat to be done, right? But this designer's come in and prices started going up, as they usually do in the fucking building game. So like, Boris has had to then go back and go, and what the text message said was, the place is still a bit of a wreck at the moment, and I'd love to get what's her face back in, the designer, to complete the work,
right?
But it's going to be another blah blah, right? Would you be all right paying that? Yeah, and he's gone, oh yeah, don't worry about it, and replied, and he's basically paid it out of his own pocket. Yeah, but that's a Conservative backer, a Tory donor, right, should Boris be taking money for personal reasons? I mean, at the end of the day, would a prime minister, if he wanted a new TV for his front room, be expected to buy that out of his own pocket? Or is it a case of that he can go to one of their backers? If he's putting money into the Conservative government, then isn't that for the running of the government or the Conservative Party? Yeah. And it's not for personal items and personal living arrangements.
That depends in the rules and in the party.
Well, I think there's a lot more to it anyway. But I mean, like, I think Boris Johnson doesn't really seem to think he's done anything wrong, and he's not the type to. Well,
there's a lot against him, and to be honest,
to admit it, I mean, he's recently apologised, but
he'd be lucky if he'd be here this time next year.
Understandably, right? It's just who's next. That's the only thing.
Who else are you going to put in there, and who else is going to fuck it up even more?
Don't fuck it up anymore. Can we have a good?
We need a good one
for a bit at least.
Yeah. And talking about Britain,
if we get a good one, we'll never let you go. You just be there all the time. We'll vote you in every time.
That's what it should be.
You'd be the king of the world.
Yeah. Instead, they go,
just get this dickhead out.
Well, look what Tony did. He turned around and went, well, let's put Brown in. You don't have to be voted in, but
that's what they do, don't they? I mean, it's always. I mean, when Thingy left,
Therese.
No, before
Cameron.
Yeah. So effective. I forgot his name. Cameron. Yeah. Brexit happened, and he threw his toys out the pram and left. Yeah. But it's handed to Theresa May then, isn't it? Because she's the next person.
It was voted in for it.
Well, she was not voted in. She was like,
not
by us, not by the people.
Yeah, not by us. Yeah, which it should be.
And it's just handed down to the next person. Who, in my opinion, well, why didn't they get the job in the first place, or why weren't they voted to have the job in the first place? Because they were obviously about. And it's like, well, if you weren't voted in last time, what makes you think you're good enough to do the job this time? You're just replacing some other numpty.
Yeah, because basically
it's not their personal opinions a lot of time. It's the party's club. Yeah, exactly.
And basically those who deserve and actually may help the country by being a leader are backwash because this club has gone, you're going to do it against us.
They're a bit kind of, that's a bit
because
fucking
Conservative is
liberal,
is to make the government small. But look what's happening now. It's not exactly small, is it? It's actually going out and grabbing more power. So it's basically doing like kind of a Labour thing, and Labour's doing like a Conservative thing. It's kind of like it's fucking backwards, left, right, and centre, and there's arguments back and forth about.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? Well, this is what happens when obviously
nothing gets sorted.
We've talked about this about when you've got two opposing positions on a subject, and it can cause a lot of friction in and I think this is the problem with the vaccine. But this is the problem with the vaccine thing. I know, but having a civil discussion about it rather than what we see them do in the House of Commons and stuff, and Parliament and PM. They're all literally just fucking rabble, and
whatever they say there doesn't matter anyway, because in the background they're making deals with each other going, well, if I lobby to you, I say yes to you.
Exactly. It's all going in the back door with, like, we reported about that gambling law that, went and where a lot of MPs were being swayed with packages of hospitality packages to see fucking Wimbledon or the World Cup.
And not that long ago, a new MP turned up and she got offered gifts and she refused them, and she got told, you're supposed to accept them.
Yeah, you got told the line, isn't it?
And she goes, no, I'm not having this. She walked in the room and told them all, I'm not having this. This ain't happening. And she brought
good on her then.
Now that's a good MP. That's what we need.
Well, we just need somebody who's going to be like actually legit and do the job they're put in to do, and not feel like it's all about them, like Mr. Boris Johnson does, because Mr. Boris Johnson thinks it's Mr. Boris Johnson's show.
And
it's
a Bollington Club.
And we're all about doing what he wants to do, and I think it's not about what he wants to do. It's about what we want him to do. And at the moment, we want him to quit. So anyway.
I liked him in the beginning, but he's gone in the totally opposite
anything
direction.
More before we move on to NASA news?
Yes, Britain. Yes, Britain. I think just for the British will know about this more than anyone else, but guess who's back? Grange Hill. Grange
I thought you
Hill's
was gonna
coming back
say
with a
Eminem.
movie.
Grange Hill, the
Yeah,
movie.
the casting right now.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Who's
apparently it's going to be out next year.
Is Zamo going to be in it?
Nah, I can't.
They
might have someone in there called
a Just Say No sort of anti-drugs campaign. I was going to say Neighbours then. I mean, Grange Hill.
Grange Hill, yeah.
If you don't know what Grange Hill is, because he doesn't explain himself very well sometimes, Grange Hill was like a
bunch of school kids.
It was like a soap opera, wasn't it? Really, but about a bunch of school kids in a school called Grange Hill.
Yeah, and then what they were doing in between,
and like what they do on the walk home from school, and
Yeah.
it was like a teenage. It was almost like Dawson's Creek, but in school uniform, in British school uniform.
Yeah.
It'd be like, oh no, Tracy's got pregnant.
Yeah,
and
she
it'd be
got
like,
blowy down the street.
Oh, she didn't even fucking hand in her math homework.
Yeah.
And so they're doing a movie.
She got pregnant again.
It's almost comedy, isn't it? It's going to be like Trinny and school.
It is, but it
girls.
depends how they do it, because is it going to go back to like when it first began, like the 80s and Zamo and all that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Or will it do like the 90s, or will it do a new generation?
They had to get a bit edgy in the 90s.
Yeah. But accidents here, the firing, people shooting.
Pregnancies.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was no pregnancies in the 80s.
No. Oh, yeah, I think there was.
Was there?
I think there was.
There you go.
Yeah, I think there were a couple. Yeah.
What memories of Grange Hill?
Yeah,
I just remember the intro with the animated sort of banger going across the screen.
Yeah,
paper aeroplane flying across.
Yeah,
if
you got to keep that.
YouTube the intro to Grange Hill.
Yeah,
because you'll enjoy it from wherever you live in the world.
Yeah, and it's done by the director of Grange Hill.
The original. Fair play.
Yeah. So it's like,
how old's he now?
Oh, fuck knows what.
Well, whatever. Just don't take any sweets from him.
Yeah, no. Not unless he's not a stranger. He might know you. Then he can take sweeties and fireworks and all sorts. Do what he wants.
Well, got some NASA news.
Euphoria.
There was recently reported a mysterious hut spotted on the moon by China's moon rover.
Ah, right. Yes, I remember this. Yeah.
It's been explained. They reached it to find out what it was, and it was a big rock.
It was just a rock.
Big rock. It's amazing that these things do resemble other things in the distance or in shadow, but unfortunately, 9 times out of 10.
And it's actually amazing that someone who's landed on the moon and everyone's questioned the picture, they've actually gone over and had a look.
Yeah. Well, they've revealed that it is a big rock.
What's happened to you, NASA? You know what I mean? When we spot something, can't you drive
is
up
it
and
a
have a
case
look?
of that they just don't take what the public
They're
want on
shit,
board?
aren't
It's
they?
like we had a look, but we didn't. It was
can't be
nothing.
after
So
that.
what was the point in telling you?
Yeah. What? A man walk across that
We'll
road?
let your imaginations run wild on that one.
Well, yeah. Well, they've been doing that for they've been fucking with our minds for a long time.
Yeah. Well, have you seen? There's been a lot of UFO things happening in the world at the moment. I've got this story actually, basically it's a UFO sighting, but it includes the hilarious commentary from the woman who filmed it.
Oh yes.
So it's like a TR3B, if you like.
Which is a triangle if you don't.
It's a dark night, so you can only see the 3 dots in the sky, but I'll play the clip. Oh, hang on.
Oh, what?
Why didn't decide to work there? 1 second.
Oh, bit of technical problems.
Technical issues.
But there has been a lot of, roughly about 5 or 6 lights being spotted around the world.
We finna die. Oh my God, what is that?
So this is the woman who filmed it.
Is that?
What
the is that?
That's me.
What the
So this is what she's seeing now is like a series of lights in a formation of a triangle.
Because they've been coming in streaks. What the?
But she's saying that she's seen them before, like they've been coming in streaks.
Oh right,
yeah.
Okay.
So like she's looking up and she's like, as you can hear,
y'all, what
the fuck? What the fuck?
Well, I've when
she carries on as you can hear.
Well, when I was saying about I was looking at UFOs and that, and I was looking into the stages of, close encounters.
Yeah.
First, second, third, fourth, fifth kind. And there seems to be a series of episodes like that. And to me, she could be one of them who get the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Oh, right. Okay.
And apparently, you know when
So
you
what
see
were the
flashing
1, 2,
lights,
3, 4, and 5 for anyone who doesn't know?
First one you see a UFO.
Yeah.
Yeah. Second one, you see I believe it's a beam outside a closer part of the UFO and seeing something within the UFO. Then third
Is contact, isn't it?
Well, it's spotting a alien with a UFO. Fourth is actually communicating, and fifth, I believe, is actually you're probed, you're on the ship, you're going around the universe.
You're done for, basically. Yeah. Okay.
Basically, yeah.
So she could be in the program, do you reckon?
If she sees
What
it
the
again
fuck?
and has missing time,
she's definitely joined the club.
She was in the listing.
Well, closer to home. Bewildered Ryanair passengers spotted a UFO. While they were on a flight heading towards Edinburgh Airport. Martin Gravens posted a video he took while he was on the flight of an object that was on the left of the commercial, on the left of the flight, the plane.
Yeah.
So he was heading to Edinburgh and basically shot a video that he posted online, and it's picked up a bit of traction. Kind of like weird to see that, isn't it? Because obviously when it's alongside you on a plane.
Yeah, but there's actually some really I remember a Concorde one, a British Concorde, when the Concorde was actually still around. I think it was in the 80s, around about 89, where there's and
the Concorde was fast.
Yeah, it was fastest thing, fastest commercial plane that was going. We were actually thinking of bringing it back a couple of years ago. I think they actually did. I don't know if they're actually started yet, but I believe they're bringing it back. But there was a really good image of like a white light orb going up and down, right at the side of it. It's a pretty famous image, to be honest. And there is some really good flying ones, but I've spotted one that was on Secure Team 10, which was a video from a door camera.
Yeah,
and it was
one of
really good image. Yeah, and it's like these 3 lights behind a tree, and then it just comes out, and you can see you can see it coming out. And it's like really.
Do you think
good
this
image.
might be why we're seeing more? Because we're obviously the camera surveillance. I mean, we moan again. This is the problem, with humanity, right? These things we moan about, and say we're really sick of this. Yeah, we don't want this.
But we'll do fuck
but
off.
then no, and we'll do it. It's packaged a different way, and put at us a different way. Yeah. So another example of this: Ring doorbells. Right. We didn't want surveillance everywhere.
Nope.
But why? Oh, it's a fucking 1984. We don't have cameras everywhere. And then they go, but you can have a camera that you can control. Right. Which also is linked to the internet that they can get access to. But now we're putting it in your hands, marketed differently. It's a security thing that means, but it's also a camera pointing out from your house. Which,
totally.
if everyone's got one on the street, then that's a lot of views you can access if you need to.
And not only that, you don't need to bring the police there, because it'd be all catched on camera. You can see who it was.
I think the first stage was like Facebook when we ID cards, and nobody wanted ID cards.
They're going to bring that in again. I'm telling you
right now. To give away all your details and have it on a card or whatever, and then you get a Facebook comes out and you give it all away freely.
Yeah, totally.
Right, GM Foods. You've got GM foods that nobody wants, and then they go, all right, then we'll mush it all up, make it taste like a beef burger, and we'll feed it to you that way, but it's
nice
vegan and really good for you, and it's the way it's packaged and marketed. It's crazy, and it's like we all just go
1/3 of the money.
It's a different way of thinking about it, but it gets the same result.
Companies would be a lot richer if there was a different way of advertising, because 1/3 of their profits generally go into advertising to the promotion of which they do, which To be honest, I think you should be curved at a certain cost. You should be curved at a certain cost to stop.
How do you mean?
As in, let's see, Amazon, right? Let's say, get rid of the internet. The internet's not here.
Oh,
Amazon sends, flyers everywhere.
We've been really conspiracy tonight. I've got to say.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? We have thrown a few theories out there that might be a bit like, you what?
Yeah,
or, you know.
But throwing, money at marketing of billboards or adverts and stuff like that, you should have a set amount of money that you can spend on that from a company. After that, because then it only gives you a certain range, and it also gives you
exactly. I mean, it's mad that every child does know what McDonald's is.
Yeah,
before,
and we'd all get paid better as well.
I mean, it was worse when I was growing up. I'm not sure if it's as bad now. Yeah, because they aren't advertised as much. The laws on advertising have changed somewhat since I was, even a teenager. Even when I was a young teenager, it was like cigarettes were still advertised on sporting events. It was and they were key sponsors as well. So you'd have like Benson and Hedges on the front of a car. It was a normal thing to see. And
see, if there wasn't a lot of that, then there wouldn't have been a lot of smokers.
Drinking certain lagers.
Yeah, not a lot of smokers, not a lot of drinkers, which is health benefit, and you would come across alcohol and stuff like that. But your general people around the area, so it actually helps the economy around the area that you're living in as well.
Well, I've got another UFO story here. Mysterious object which was hovering for 2 hours over the world's UFO capital. Now experts scramble to explain the cigar-shaped object that was emitting a blinding white light before speeding off. This was in Chile.
Oh, Chile.
So, I mean, as UFO hotspots, I think that is definitely one of the tops. What do you reckon to this? I think they're getting very... I'm
liking it that
they're getting quite a lot, I think, at the moment.
Yeah.
It's weird, isn't it? I mean, do you think... I think there's a lot of people who were kind of saying that there's going to be something happen this year.
Yeah. I'd say either this year or next year, something is definitely going to happen by 2024.
Well, you heard it here first.
You heard it here.
They've actually, NASA at the moment, they're doing a lot of sending stuff up, obviously, working a lot with SpaceX, SpaceX are doing stuff on their own, putting satellites up. There's a lot of rockets going up, and there's been a lot of kind of the world record last year for most objects sent up. I was going to
say,
at the moment, I think there's actually a launch tonight. So, if you're in the States and if you're listening and you caught it, you might have seen it. But as we record, it's due to blast off. And this is a sounding rocket which they're going to send out, which is it's reconnaissance, isn't it? It's basically got
checking the environment,
does an orbit, and then just does has a load of sensors and
do like a health check for the planet to see what it's.
I like the way you put that.
Yeah, it's just a little.
But you might see that over the East Coast, or you might have seen it.
Yeah. See,
there you go.
It's
got a big radius.
Yeah.
So the weather's clear. And,
is it? It's not here.
So if the weather's clear and in the US and Mid-Atlantic East Coast,
which it's supposed to be,
is where they'll see it.
Been cancelled. So good luck.
Got a really dry throat tonight. I need a drink. But any more NASA news?
Well, James Webb. It's had problems after problems after problems, but it's had its last photographic picture taken of it going off 1 million miles away. To actually start operating its system. So everything from now seems to be
big
good.
Orange eyes open, and it's all systems go. It's going off to discover and take me some nice pretty pictures. I want to see.
Let's hope it don't blink.
Yeah, don't no one nick it.
Well,
you can't put anything. Billion, you know what I mean? You can't. People will nick anything.
Well, that's true. You can't. You got to be.
It's not nailed down. People. Well, if you've got any questions, have you got any more news?
I've got one on Saturn. There's one of its moons. As you see, spray like water coming up from the surface. Well, it was commonly thought that it was actually the sea underneath a deep surface sea ocean, and it would, because of the
a deep surface sea ocean. I like it.
Yeah,
So
nice, isn't it?
he's coined that term himself. You got to pay, scientists have got to pay him $1 now to use it.
Yeah, and don't you forget, I'll send you the address later. They reckon, like, with the movement of the planet, that it, squashes and, like, puts it up into the environment and comes, and then we see this nice little spray off the moon.
Yeah, like if we were watching, like, the sea beat off the rocks at the beach.
Yeah.
Like this mist.
But coming out into space.
Really? That powerful?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Wow.
Well,
so is it a water?
It's well, I don't know if there's chemical. There's going to be other kind of chemicals and that with.
I'm just amazed that it's managed to get out of the orbit.
Well,
do you know what I mean? Like into space. It's like how powerful are the seas down there? Do you know what I mean? If this is a sea that's doing it.
I think it's like how in Jupiter.
Or is it volcanic?
The volcanic moves and it crushes and uncrushes,
and then fires this sort of spray.
So when it's been crushed.
So it's almost like Corona mass ejections, isn't it? Because obviously, the sun's spitting out, and that's got to be powerful. That's got to be kind of reach some heights to get those arcs out into space.
The sun's getting a bit like fucking weird.
She's an old dog. She's getting on now.
She's actually very young.
Well,
she's got 4 billion years left.
She's got a lot of years left in her.
Yeah, but she's a very young star. Or he's a very young star. I don't know if you put it as a female or male.
I'd say probably a female, won't it?
Well, yeah, let's go with that.
Uh-huh.
So, a Dr. Jacob Buffo.
Jacob Buffo.
From Denver College had basically done a new simulation, and it works out that it's probably watery, mushy kind of type thing.
Watery, mushy type thing,
surface.
so like a scum.
So it's like a volcano when it goes up.
Yeah, pond scum.
Yeah, you can have break-offs, to the side. And it seems to be
it's
like
funny that's
ice.
Actually a similar thing that's happening in Los Palmas with their volcano, because it's stopped now.
Has it stopped now? Right,
stopped a couple of weeks ago now.
Oh, right,
because I thought it was actually still going, but it didn't. I was looking into it and it stopped a couple of weeks ago. But there's a new vent that they're a bit worried about.
Yes,
still could explode or heat up or have some activity, I think. So that's probably the similar things. Like if they're trying, there'll be pockets of gas that spray up and whatever else is in the planet, I suppose. But
that we won't have to, if we actually send something to the surface, we won't have to, dig as hard, through the surface to actually get to the ocean, where we could actually do it through the actual ice packs.
Well, they need to get their asses in gear to get there. We haven't even got to Mars yet, so one step at a time.
Well, yeah, but we've sent robots there.
Get your ass to Mars.
I mean, we could send robots now and much faster
we'll send
now
that
than we did.
Fucking evil one that's got grip of arm wrestling champion.
You know what? That's a brilliant idea.
See what you can find out.
I do think we should send robots out before we.
Well, that's what we do.
Send.
That's what we do.
Yeah, but
I mean, it's just what you consider to be a robot. I mean, when we send drones and probes and stuff, it's like people moan that, why we've spent all this time, we've not even been back to the moon, and it's like, well, yeah, because we've been sending out reconnaissance to find out what the fuck we'd be going out to. And if it's a bit dangerous, then we might reevaluate that plan.
A bit, fucking hell, it'd be dangerous just to get there.
Yeah, of course it would, but I mean, it's like these levels of danger. If it's going to kill you on the journey, then why bother? I mean, it's like, well, you'd have to reevaluate your plans, because there's no point in sending a crew of astronauts if you know that they're not even going to make it halfway. With radiation or whatever, you'd need to make sure that they were going to survive the trip. So,
but as time, there's new developments all the time. I mean, even warp drive, they believe.
They said they've got a warp drive and an anti-gravity drive. So let's see what happens.
I mean, if they come out about the TR3B and it's true, everything that's been said, and we've actually got that technology, then we could just get there next week.
Yeah, so what's all the pissing about?
Yeah, they might actually be there now, but it's just...
They probably are,
They
like
probably
you say. Like even that hut, they said it was a big rock. It could be, it's just a big rock when really it's a hut.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, that's the end of the show.
Yes, it is.
If you'd like to get in touch, if you have any questions, queries, comments, or suggestions, you know what to do. You can email us at neverstraightanswer@gmail.com.
Yes, you can.
We're available on Instagram on Never Straight Answer. Loads of images on there connected to the show and other bits and pieces. And also on Twitter at NASA_never. You can go over to the website at neverstraightanswer.co.uk where you can get downloadable content, watch videos, read up articles and blogs. There's a lot of stuff over there which is all worth your time, so check it out. Love to hear from you. There's also a contact page if you'd like to contact us. If you'd like to, appear on the show as a guest, if you've got an interesting topic you think we'll find fascinating,
give us an email,
whatever. You know what to do. Yes. Send us a message. Also, if you'd like to contribute to the show, we've got several ways. You can go over to the website and contribute direct on the support tab. Also, you can join us on Patreon, where we've got several different categories from agent, special agent, super top secret, and all those other bits and pieces, which I totally forgot. And we've also
Beyond
got
top secret.
Bit of merch.
Yes.
Yeah, if you want to just get something for your money rather than just donating it, you can get a T-shirt or a mug or a sticker or whatever over on TeePublic and Dizzy Jam. So there you go. It's all available on the website. Make sure you check it out.
Yeah, check it out.
Check it out. Tell your mum. Tell your dad.
Yeah, tell your neighbour.
Tell your conspiracy theory uncle who smells funny. He smells a bit like. Is that musty? Is that musty smell?
Yeah, I think
we've all, is that? It
smells like something else.
Tell that friend who told you that Bigfoot's alive. You know. He's interested.
Or Titanic didn't sink. Or Tupac and Biggie are still alive.
Yeah, if anyone's ever said any of those things to you, recommend them our podcast. Yeah. It's all good.
We'll have a good little chat.
All right, well, that's us for this week. We've got an interesting show coming up next week, I think you'll agree it'll be good. I need a drink, so we're going to go. That's the end of the show. I've been Gaz.
I've been Taylor.
We're the Never Straight Answer podcast. Peace.
Out.